Welcome to Standard 4, Recruitment and Selection. This standard is all about developing recruitment and selection strategies that will once again meet the needs of both your organization and your volunteers. Effective volunteer recruitment and selection strategies are crucial for any volunteer-involving organization. With the right systems in place, you can embrace your organizational goals while fostering a more positive and inclusive environment. By implementing well-thought-out strategies that cater to your organization and prospective volunteers, you can attract suitable candidates and maintain a safe and secure atmosphere. Achieving this standard enables organizations to provide prospective volunteers with comprehensive information, enabling them to make fully informed decisions about their involvement. In the end, it makes it easier for you to create streamlined procedures for evaluating, assigning, and selecting new volunteers. But where in the world do you find your volunteers? In 2022, Volunteering Australia conducted research to evaluate organisations' recruitment needs. Looking forward, 3 out of 5 respondents expected a significant increase in the number of volunteers needed in the next 5 years. Of course, these numbers greatly corresponded with the industry of the organisation. Organisations in the mental health, and animal welfare sectors can expect the highest volunteer demands in the near future. So, how can we find more recruits? In order to help, Volunteering Australia asked volunteer-involving organisations to rate the effectiveness of their volunteer recruitment practices. As a whole, organisations preferred word-of-mouth approaches, as they are more effective and personalised. Most organisations reported that technology plays a significant role in expanding their efforts, with social media listed as one of the most effective tools. Platforms such as Seek Volunteer and Go Volunteer were ranked as being only moderately effective. Traditional media and employment service provider referrals were rated as being the least effective. Again, it is important to remember that the findings differ depending on the industry of each organisation. So, why does this matter? Before charging forward in your recruitment efforts, it's important to identify these 2 crucial factors: your opportunities and your obstacles. What tools, technology, and training might open up new doors within your volunteer program? Do you know what's standing in your organization's way of recruiting both eager and qualified volunteers? The survey found several main obstacles to recruitment and retention. These were finding volunteers with the time, willingness to commit, and interest to get involved, as well as recruiting young people within the community. Now, this begs the following 2 questions. What are your organization's obstacles to volunteer recruitment? And what are your organization's opportunities for volunteer recruitment?
First and foremost, it is essential to have a clear understanding of your organization's needs and goals. Standard 3 requires you to identify the specific roles and responsibilities required from your volunteers. This lays the groundwork for Standard 4 and ensures your recruitment efforts are targeted and relevant to your mission. Standard 4 enables you to employ a safe and streamlined approach to finding volunteers and assigning them roles that will let their passions, skills, and interests shine. Volunteering Australia recommends the following 4 criteria for Standard 4. 1. If the organisation recruits volunteers, it uses planned approaches to attract these volunteers with relevant interests, knowledge, skills, or attributes. 2. Potential volunteers are provided with relevant information about the organisation, the volunteer role, and the recruitment and selection process. 3. volunteers are selected based on interest, knowledge, skills, or attributes relevant to the role and are consistent with anti-discrimination legislation. And lastly, 4. Screening processes are applied to volunteer roles that help maintain the safety and security of service users, employees, volunteers, and the organization. Okay, this sounds good. Let's briefly break down each criterion and the required evidence for its implementation. Criterion 4.1 requires you to use planned strategies to find volunteers with relevant skills, knowledge, and abilities. We can find evidence of this in your organization's broader mission for volunteer efforts, as well as in the methods you use to advertise any volunteer positions to the community. Criterion 4.2 ensures we provide potential recruits with enough information about the organization and the volunteer program. This requires us to have volunteer role information readily available to the applicants, including in-depth details about the recruitment process, a point of contact, and feedback after making a choice. Criterion 4.3 guides us to attract and assign volunteers to roles that complement their personalities without discriminating. Evidence of this should be found in your documented selection process and efforts to comply with any anti-discrimination legislation. Finally, Criterion 4.4 outlines how to apply screening processes to volunteer roles in a way that ensures the safety and security of everyone within your organization. This means your screening process must be documented and compliant with the current laws, including conducting a reference check, obtaining knowledge of the applicant's relevant personal history, and setting appropriate qualifications to determine whether or not a volunteer is fit for the role. In the end, you must protect everyone that is within your organization, whether they are a volunteer or an employee. As we can see, Standard 4 is all about making an effective game plan, which brings us to the next step, number 5 of the 10 steps to implementing the national standards. Develop the project plan. Developing a comprehensive and ethically sound volunteer recruitment and selection strategy is pivotal for non-profit organizations to create a thriving, inclusive environment. By clearly understanding their needs and expectations, effectively targeting the right volunteers, and maintaining a supportive atmosphere, you can ensure continued success in meeting their goals and positively impacting their communities. Step 5 guides us to implement all 8 standards into our organizations by making a plan first and taking action second.
This is where we're going to break down your national standards implementation project into specific tasks. This will help to avoid any unexpected obstacles and other setbacks later down the road. We'll calculate the time, cost, and resources needed to complete each task and map out the most efficient steps moving forward. And who knows? Maybe you'll find out you can work on different steps simultaneously, saving time and speeding up your results. Without further ado, let's get started. Move on to your Standard 4 worksheet so you can dive a little deeper into the criteria, evidence, and the practical tasks discussed in Step 5. Let's make it happen.